Hi, Jessica Matthews with Leverage Legal Group. One of the questions I get from people who are just starting out in business or startups is, am I too small to get a trademark? Um, or, is it overkill? Is it jumping the gun? I think sometimes people feel like, you're not really entitled to a trademark until you've been doing business for a while, until you've made a certain, number in sales, have a certain number of customers. And actually, nothing could be further from the truth. The very best time to get a trademark is in the beginning. And the main reason for that is because you want to secure the rights and the legal ownership of your business name and your brand, and your logo, ideally, as well, uh, before you have a lot of success. After you start having a lot of success is when you potentially could face people who are trying to copy your success or ride on your coattails. The whole point of trademark protection is to make sure that other people can't copy you or use a trademark that is confusingly similar to yours, because you don't want your customers or clients to be confused by another brand and buy from them accidentally when they meant to buy from you. And so the law is set up to prevent that from happening. So really the very best time to secure your trademark rights is right at the beginning. Um, and so my recommendation, and I can tell you for myself in the companies that I've launched, I always secure my trademarks as soon as possible. And the thing is that even if you're just now launching and you haven't actually begun to sell a product or a service, you can actually do a trademark application in what's called an intent to use application, which means you're telling the trademark office that, yes, I'm not actually selling anything yet, I'm not actually in business yet, but I intend to be in the next 6 months. But the great thing about that is that once you get approved for that, you can basically sort of kick the can down the road and renew that. It's sort of like a preliminary approval. You get what's called a notice of allowance. And so that is sort of a preliminary approval saying that if you begin using the mark in commerce, then you've been cleared for the next steps in the registration examination process and potentially going on to registration. So the great thing about that is that you can renew every 6 months for up to 3 years. So that gives you time to reserve your name, basically, your brand, and maybe your logo as you are beginning to do development. So you may be, trying to figure out how you're going to manufacture your channels of distribution, salespeople, marketing. You may be, renting an office or a building. I mean, there's lots of things you could be doing to develop. You could be doing market research. All of those things are coding, say, if you're building a website or an app. But that intent to use is in place for that very reason, to help you get protection early. And that means that you'll have that protection as you go through the process of developing your business, which is really what we all want, right? Because, if you watch my other videos, I talk about how long it takes to get a trademark. So make sure you go look for that video, but it is not fast. And so one of the biggest questions that I get from clients is, if it's going to take that long to get my trademark, then can I be marketing my business in the meantime, or do I have to wait? And the answer is, you should always be marketing your business, and being on file gives you a level of protection. It doesn't guarantee that you're going to own the mark eventually, but what it does is it prevents other people from coming up behind you and filing a similar or identical mark. And it gives you some protection because people then know that you're intending to claim a trademark in that brand or in that logo or that tagline or whatever it is. And so if they use it, they could also be potentially responsible to you for intentional infringement. I'm going to do a whole video about that. I have talked about it in other videos, but I'll talk specifically about that so you understand what it is. But it's a really good thing to let the world know as soon as possible what you're claiming a trademark in, so that you have protection against intentional infringement, among other things. So get your trademark as soon as possible. The order in which I would recommend doing it is I would get your entity in place first. So an LLC or a corporation, whatever it is. Never operate as a sole proprietor under any circumstances. I don't care what anyone has told you. And there are people that will get advice from their CPAs. I'm going to do a whole video about this too, but short answer, get an entity. An LLC is generally the best way to start. You can always convert an LLC to a C Corp. Again, I'll do a video about this, but generally LLC is the fastest and most inexpensive to get, and it's the easiest to maintain. Once you have your entity in place, then the next thing that I would do is I would begin to think about your branding. And once you have your branding figured out, your brand name, file the name with no design attached to it. And then if you're getting a logo designed, then I would also file for that. And I would do both of those things as soon as possible. When I'm launching companies, I do that as one of the very first things. Once I've done, enough market research and validation of my idea, and I am certain that it's a mark that I can own. Now that's where having a good trademark lawyer comes in, because you cannot just do like a quick search of the USPTO website and a Google search, and then you're good and you think, oh, I can own it. That's not how it works. Good trademark lawyers, experienced lawyers like myself, have access to paid databases that the public does not have access to, and we can tell you much more accurately whether this mark is something that is something you're going to be able to own, or whether you're going to face problems. These are things you need to know as you're doing the branding, as you're naming things, as you're naming your company, as you're naming your products or services, and as you're having your tagline developed, as well as your logo. The art of the logo must also be researched, because you don't want to be developing a logo that looks like somebody else's. So getting your trademarks is a vital part of this early process of your business. So what I would recommend is, right out of the gates, hire a good trademark lawyer. I would be honored to assist you. But if you don't hire me, hire someone that has experience with trademarks and get them advising you as you're developing your brand name and your design elements for your brand, so that you make sure that you can own those things and get on file as soon as you can. Okay, that's my advice for the day. Make sure that you like this, comment, or ask questions below if you have any, and please subscribe to my channel so that you don't miss any content. I'm going to try to make sure I answer all the questions you might possibly have about branding and about protecting your intellectual property and trademarks on my channel. So I'll see you in the next video. Bye.